Francis Ford Coppola, of course, is a legendary director. Has made some of the all-time great films, namely The Godfather, The Godfather Part 2, and Apocalypse Now. One of his movies that often goes uncited as one of the great classics, and one of his masterpieces, is The Conversation, which is a great film, which I wanted to talk about in this review today. It stars Gene Hackman in a great performance. Gene Hackman, one of the best, one of my favorite actors of all time. Playing a role that's a little bit different than what he was known for. Obviously, for the French Connection, very intense kind of actor, and the Poseidon Adventure, again a very heroic kind of actor. This one he's very low key. He plays basically a wiretapper or surveillance artist, I guess you could say. Basically, someone who records conversations and bugs people and brings it to people who want to pay for it, namely big important people, politicians, businessmen, people who need to surveil certain things. Basically, the movie, the way it starts out, it's kind of interesting. Like it does start out with the conversation of the conversation and the process that Hackman's character and his team. They're recording it and the process of that, which is a very interesting process. But after the day of work is done, there's a very interesting shot in the movie where you see him going home, and like you almost lose him in the shot. The shot is, as far as I can remember, it is a stagnant shot, and he's just walking through a crowd, and the shot lingers, and you're kind of like, where is he? Where is he? And I thought that was interesting because that's the nature of the character, essentially. At least as we meet him in the movie, he's not someone who wants to bring attention to himself. He's someone who wants to stay in kind of the background and not be noticed because that's what he depends on with his job. He has basically no personal life, no personal possessions. He has a girlfriend. She knows nothing about him. He has a following with other, surveillance big shots. He's supposedly a legend in his field. He's the best at what he does, but very little is known about him. And kind of what this movie does is kind of invite us into his world a little bit, where we learn a little bit more about him piece by piece by piece, either through his own admission or in one really great scene where it's a dream sequence where he reveals a little bit more about himself. Basically, the movie does focus on that one conversation that they recorded at the beginning, and kind of what the repercussions of handing it in to the person who paid for it would be. His philosophy is, I just hand in the tapes. I don't have anything to do with it. But we learn about his past a little bit more, and how when he has done that in the past, it resulted in people getting murdered because of the information he provided and confirmed with them. And so we sense that he's fearing the same thing for this case, and kind of his hesitance to bring it in, and the movie kind of shows his tortured soul basically, and how he's fearing that. Eventually, he does bring it in, and it's kind of his voyeurism in the whole matter. Like he beginning he wouldn't want to know, but now he's like he has to know. He's like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? These people are gonna be okay. So much so that he surveils them himself and becomes sort of obsessed with it. It is a movie about obsession and paranoia. And so you kind of think, well, maybe this character is going to redeem himself by trying to save these two people who are having the conversation, who apparently are going to be in a lot of trouble once, the big bad boss, who, if you haven't seen it, I don't want to ruin who it is, but it's a really great actor. Yeah, he was good. And, you think kind of like, okay, maybe he's going to redeem himself and try to save them. But it doesn't quite exactly work out that way. And that's kind of one of the interesting things about the film, is how he does separate himself still, by still becoming involved, but still separated. So it's very interesting. By the end of it all, the guy is just a wreck. He's tearing apart his apartment, looking for wires. And again, a very, very interesting camera shot where everyone seems to point this out, where it almost seems like a surveillance camera. So it's like going back and forth and it's really cool. I thought Gene Hackman's performance was brilliant. Again, it's something a little bit different that we're not quite used to seeing from him, but I think it is probably, I would say, among his maybe top 5 performances or so. Um, and with Coppola, of course, it's hard to list, the absolute best. Obviously, The Godfather, you can't really beat that. Apocalypse Now, you can't really beat that. But this definitely deserves mention in some of his best films, and in some of the best films of the 70s, because it did capture kind of like, that era, the feeling of paranoia and of who to trust, and are you being watched, and things like that. So it's a very, very interesting film that I've seen it twice now. I just watched it again recently, so it's more involving each time you watch it, so I'd really like to keep watching this in a regular basis, kind of maybe around this time each year. Definitely worth revisiting on a regular basis. It was nominated for 3 Academy Awards, Hackman for his performance, Best Picture, and quite appropriately sound. Didn't win anything, but keep in mind, this was from 1974, this movie, so it was up against The Godfather Part 2. So pretty much, and Chinatown. So it pretty much didn't have a chance, but it's pretty cool that they nominated it, because I don't think this film gets quite enough praise. Not enough that it should. Definitely a classic, and yeah, definitely should check it out if you get a chance. So thanks for watching.